Welcome to Pro Wrestling Throwdown. It's the Thursday, November 19th, 2020 episode. I'm Caleb Black. He's Luke the Big Dog Williams. That's our in-studio producer, the Mighty Max Fury. And it's time for the Superstar Spotlight because we celebrated the birth and mourned the passing of both the Macho Man Randy Savage and the lovely Miss Elizabeth, the crown couple of pro wrestling. We are going to give you a little bit of the Macho Man. Yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time. Hogan! Sorry.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Bonesaw is ready. Yeah. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
What can not be said about the Macho Man?
The madness.
Or Miss Elizabeth, for that
When you get into the madness, you gotta ask yourself a question.
This is going to be 15 minutes of this.
Prepared?
It's going to be.
You're not ready, Hogan, for the madness and all your little jerkomaniacs, so your pukes. Sorry. I could do that literally all day.
All day.
Except it hurts my throat.
Not the first episode thing.
One of the top personalities of the 80s and 90s was the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yeah, I mean...
1/2 of the mega
here we
powers.
go.
Can you feel it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Macho Man, probably one of the biggest headliners in professional wrestling in the 80s and 90s. Countless championships. He single-handedly made the Intercontinental title the title to watch.
Completely
in
agree.
The 80s.
Completely
He
agree.
really did. His matches with Ricky Steamboat were
Classics.
legendary. His match with Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3 is still one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time.
Oh, yeah. Still to this day.
Was the first winner of World War III, the 60-man Battle Royal in 1995.
Yes, he was.
For WCW. Miss Elizabeth was the first female valet that WWE had. WWF.
The first lady of professional wrestling.
I mean,
classic.
It doesn't get any better
Class
than
act.
that.
And we were talking earlier, too, about monetizing yourself and creating a brand. He was the first one with an outside endorsement.
Yeah, Slim Jim.
Slim Jim. He brought like $1 million.
He took Slim Jim from WWE to WCW with him.
He brought like $1 million in advertising revenue to WCW. And in fact, because they were drawing more ratings, Slim Jim's stock like skyrocketed for that whole 83-week period.
The other day, I was in Casey's.
Yeah.
Slim Jim still has the Macho Man on their packaging.
Yes, they do.
They now have a Slim Jim that is this big around and this long, and it's called the Savage Stick. And on the box is the Macho Man with his big glasses like this. I mean, you can't... how many years has he been gone now?
13?
2011.
Oh, 2000, so 9.
So 9 years, and they're still marketing Randy Savage through Slim Jim.
Yep. And still today, I mean, he's one of the most polarizing figures in wrestling. You have guys all the time who imitate him, guys who all the time to try to replicate him, but they can't, you see, because of the madness.
That actually sounds like
Thank you. Thank you.
TNA used to do
Black Machismo, Jay Lethal.
Oh, my God.
Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
Oh, he was great.
I know you're in there, Snake. Get out of there, Snake.
That's the only thing I think that TNA messed up on is why they couldn't have got those two together just once.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just once. And Lanny, Poffo, his brother, actually mentioned that Jay Lethal tried getting a hold of the Macho Man to okay the gimmick.
Yeah.
And he never got through to the Macho Man. He ended up getting through to Lanny, who talked to the Macho Man. And the Macho Man's like, I don't know, brother. I don't know about that. And he watched the first time they had done it. And he's like, that's hilarious. And let him do the Black Machismo thing. But that Lanny had told Jay Lethal after Mach had passed that Macho Man thought it was one of the greatest things he had ever seen, that it was hilarious.
Personal story with Macho Man Randy Savage. Probably. My grandmother was neighbors to Miss Elizabeth.
We have 20 minutes.
And one day, my dad and a bunch of his buddies came around riding their bikes, throwing rocks at Macho Man and calling him a pussy. And Macho Man Randy Savage ran my dad down, pulled him off his bike, and slammed him as hard as he could in the middle of the road. When he goes to my dad, "You got anything to say for yourself, punk?" And my dad was like, "My mom would really love your autograph." And my family still has the autograph that he made out to my grandmother.
That's awesome.
And he was very, it's one of my favorite stories.
Without taking too much away from the Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth. Probably one of the most recognizable women
Oh, yeah.
in a manager role in professional wrestling of all time. Second only to Sherry, in my opinion. Or Muhammad Ali, depending on what story you're telling. But thank you. But no, Elizabeth and Mach were oil and water,
Yeah.
but they made the perfect couple.
They were, oh, man.
Like, they shouldn't have made the perfect couple,
No.
but they did. What always interested me and I found kind of strange was that when they renewed their vows or when they got married
Mm-hmm.
on WWE programming, that they had already filed for divorce.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't together through the whole wedding at SummerSlam.
Yeah, no,
and all
but they
that.
were
already
constantly
divorced.
professional and working together.
When they got to WCW, the Lex Luger thing happened, which we're not going to go into because I'm just not going to go into it.
Such is sad.
Such
is sad.
It was sad to see that her life ended the way that it did.
Yeah.
Addiction's a thing.
Addiction's a bitch, man. And so were you.
And especially mixing the things that she was mixing when it took place. As far as Mach, the good thing is Mach became a hermit.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot of anything. Stayed at home. Got back in touch with his high school sweetheart. High school sweetheart, yeah. Married her. Stayed away from the business.
Yep.
Was perfectly happy.
Be a man. Released a rap album. It's real. It's a Macho Man rap album. It's fantastic.
It's called Be a Man. It's fantastic. Hulk Hogan, Be a Man, Hogan.
Also, the most emotional storyline ever, in my opinion, in wrestling, one of the most anyway, is the 1980s split between him and Miss Elizabeth. And when she comes to the ring, and she swats Sherry down, and they reunite.
1990.
Man, just like cry like a baby when I watch it now today because it's just so.
Or the
Elizabeth,
will you marry me? And she's like, oh yes, it's fantastic. Here we go again. But no, married his high school sweetheart. Signed a deal, a Legends deal with the WWE to make an action figure.
Nope.
And
for video game rights.
And then 2 weeks later passed away.
Via a heart attack while driving and he wrecked his car.
Which, I'm not going to be the conspiracy theorist that I am on a video like this, but I'm going to say him and the Warrior, the coincidences, you make up your own mind. But
it's all a little strange to me.
Just saying. But no one will ever be the Macho Man, no matter how hard they try.
And believe me, I'm going to try all fucking night.
And if the women in professional wrestling who fall into the managerial roles don't aspire to be like Miss Elizabeth,
then you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Guys, that is our superstar spotlight of the one, the only Macho Man Randy Savage.
Do it one more time.
Macho Man Randy Savage, you see. The madness.
That's all you have to do. You have to say Macho Man, a cup of coffee, and the madness, and that's all you have to say.
Okie doke that motherfucker.
In this video.
Yeah, make sure to follow us. Pro Wrestling Throwdown, Facebook.com/ Find us on Twitter.
You can't do that.
Pro Wrestling TD. Yeah. Send us an email for the madness. Pro Wrestling Throwdown @gmail.com. Yeah. And if you really want to get it, you know what you can do? You can find us on Twitch. Yeah. Every single Saturday, brother.
How's your belly feel when you tighten up like that?
Yeah.